Welcome back. I'm Doc Palmer. I'm the author of McGraw-Hill's best-selling reliability book, the Maintenance Planning and Scheduling Handbook. Chapter 1 of this handbook deals with the business case. Why are we doing this? Well, maintenance planning and scheduling are so unusual. Most people don't do it right. It causes great frustration in the industry. Properly done, planning helps improve the quality of work over the years. It also supports scheduling. Scheduling, if properly done, gives us a 50% pop in work order completion rate. That extra 50% of work that we do is the proactive work that would normally die in the backlog. This proactive work keeps things from breaking. So we have a more reliable plant because we're not just fixing things as soon as they break. The maintenance planning deals with running a Deming cycle. That's the second chapter of the book. We can't make perfect plans as much as we would like to. We are not trying to replace the skill of the crafts. We're running a Deming cycle to collect all their information. We give them a head start, they give us feedback, we give them a better head start next time. We get better and better job plans, which helps them have better and better job execution. However, Chapter 3 explains that planning alone will not increase wrench time. You have all these great job plans, you've planned out the possible delays, but if you don't give people enough work, you're defeated by Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law is the amount of work assigned expands to fill the amount of time available. We've got to give people enough work, and that requires scheduling. If you give somebody a perfectly planned job that should only take 2 hours, and you say, here's your job for the day, that job just might take 8 hours. Might not be extreme as that, but that's an illustration of Parkinson's law. So the third chapter of the book is that after planning, we have to do scheduling. We want to defeat Parkinson's law, not the other way around where Parkinson's law just kills us. Anyway, the first principle of scheduling is that we need to have job plans. So they work together. This job requires an electrician for 3 hours. This job requires a senior mechanic for 2 hours with a helper. That job requires a certified welder. You can't do scheduling without the planning, simply because we need the time estimates. That's not very complicated, and that's obvious. A minor part of this principle, though, which is a little more subtle, is that we do not want to overskill the jobs when we're planning them. If a job could be done by a junior mechanic, don't plan it for a senior mechanic, if those are what your craft designations are. If a crew has 1 certified welder, 4 senior mechanics, 4 junior mechanics, and a helper, and a job could be done, you've got to have at least a junior mechanic. A helper could not do this job. Well, plan it for a junior mechanic. Don't plan it for a senior mechanic. If you plan it for a senior mechanic, only 4 people on the crew could do this job. If you plan the job for a junior mechanic, 8 people could do this job, because obviously you could use senior mechanic as a junior mechanic. And then if your union rules and your culture allow you to use a welder as a senior mechanic, well then a welder could be a senior mechanic or a junior mechanic. You've got 9 people that could do the work of a junior mechanic. We want to be as flexible as possible when we're assigning the work and also scheduling, and we need to know those interdependencies of the crafts. Now, if your union agreements, union rules, and your culture allows you to use a certified welder as a helper, if a job only requires a helper, you've got 10 people on this crew that could do this job. What great flexibility. Doc, why would you want to use a certified welder as a helper? I don't know what you're paying for a certified welder, but it's a lot more than what you could pay for a helper. Well, we make a profit and accomplish our mission as a company by producing a product or accomplishing that mission, not necessarily by only using a certified welder as a certified welder. Let's say you don't have any really pressing certified welder work, and you're just overwhelmed with simple work that could really benefit the plant, so you could make a profit and keep things from breaking, but you only need a helper for this work. You don't have that many helpers. You've only got 1 helper on this crew. Well, of course we would want to use the welder as a helper. Doc, aren't you wasting money? No, we're making money by doing the work, the extra proactive work especially, that would die in the backlog. We're fixing breakdowns that can't wait, but we only need a helper, and we don't have as many helpers. So we would rather have an overskilled workforce than an underskilled workforce. Well, Doc, why don't you correctly skill your workforce? Well, you can over the years, but you can't do that week to week. This week, we're overwhelmed with helper work, and we're underwhelmed with certified welder work. We don't want that helper work that could really help the plant sitting in the backlog and the welder sitting in the break room. That would be terrible management and scheduling. So we need to keep that in mind. We want to have the job plans to support the scheduling. We need the job plans because we need the minimum craft requirements and the labor estimates. And then that reminds me of a dog story. We have 2 dogs. They're Pomeranians, but they're Palmeranians since my last name is Palmer, obviously. But does anybody do any dog breeding? Do you have a dog? What do you get when you cross a Malamute with an English pointer? Well, never mind, it's a moot point. But we have to keep in mind that we're dealing with union rules and plant culture, and a lot of times we want to underskill the craft on a job. So don't overskill the crafts when you're planning jobs. That's the first principle, to have these job plans with the estimates, and do not overskill the jobs when you're planning them. So not much in this principle, a little bit of subtlety, but thanks for letting me be part of your maintenance family and put in my 2 cents. And we'll see you next time, and God bless.